1. Stem cells. Stem cells are unique cells of the body in that they are unspecialized and have the ability to develop into specialized cells for specific organs or to develop into tissues. Stem cells are able to divide and replicate many times in order to replenish and repair tissue. In the field of stem cell research, scientists are attempting to take advantage of the renewal properties of stem cells by utilizing them to generate cells for tissue repair. 2. Blood cells. From transporting oxygen throughout the body to fighting infection, cells of the blood are vital to life. Red blood cells determine blood type and are also responsible for transporting oxygen to cells. White blood cells are immune system cells that destroy pathogens and provide immunity. Platelets help to clot blood and prevent excessive blood loss due to broken or damaged blood vessels. 3. Fat cells. These are also called adipocytes, the major cell component of adipose tissue. Adipocytes contain droplets of stored fat, triglycerides that can be used for energy. When fat is being stored, fat cells swell and become round in shape. When fat is being used, these cells shrink in size. Adipose cells also have endocrine function as they produce hormones that influence sex hormone metabolism, blood pressure regulation, insulin sensitivity, fat storage and use, blood clotting, and cell signaling. 4. Skin cells. The skin is composed of a layer of epithelial tissue, epidermis, that is supported by a layer of connective tissue, dermis, and an underlying subcutaneous layer. The outermost layer of the skin is composed of flat, squamous epithelial cells that are closely packed together. The skin protects the internal structures of the body from damage, prevents dehydration, acts as barrier against germs, stores fat, and produces vitamins and hormones. 5. Endothelial cells. Endothelial cells form the inner lining of cardiovascular system and lymphatic system structures. These cells make up the inner layer of blood vessels, lymphatic vessels, and organs including the brain, lungs, skin and heart. Endothelial cells are responsible for angiogenesis or the creation of new blood vessels. They also regulate the movement of macromolecules, gases, and fluid between the blood and surrounding tissues, and help to regulate blood pressure. 6. Nerve cells. Nerve cells or neurons are the basic unit of the nervous system. Nerves send signals among the brain, spinal cord, and other body organs via nerve impulses. A neuron consists of two major parts, a cell body and nerve processes. The central cell body contains the neuron's nucleus, associated cytoplasm, and organelles. Nerve processes are finger-like projections, axons and dendrites, that extend from the cell body and are able to conduct and transmit signals. 7. Sex cells. Sex cells or gametes are reproductive cells produced in male and female gonads. Male sex cells or sperm are motile and have a long, tail-like projection called a flagellum. Female sex cells or ova are non-motile and relatively large in comparison to the male gamete. In sexual reproduction, sex cells unite during fertilization to form a new individual. While other body cells replicate by mitosis, gametes reproduce by meiosis. 8. Cancer cells. Cancer results from the development of abnormal properties in normal cells that enable them to divide uncontrollably and spread to other locations. Cancer cell development can be caused by mutations that occur from factors such as chemicals, radiation, ultraviolet light, chromosome replication errors, or viral infection. Cancer cells lose sensitivity to anti-growth signals, proliferate rapidly, and lose the ability to undergo apoptosis or programmed cell death. Specialized cellular modifications are modifications that make a cell different from another type of cells. This usually occurs in multicellular eukaryotes, where the opportunity for cell specialization arises. Here are a couple of examples. 1. Nerve cells, or neurons, are very specialized cells of the nervous system. Since an electrical signal needs to travel relatively long distances to parts of the body, nerve cells have specialized structures called dendrites, which receive an electrical signal from another neuron, and axons, which transmit an electrical signal to another neuron. 2. Muscle cells are made up primarily of a pair of special proteins called actin and myosin, which allows the muscle to contract. 3. Red blood cells are nucleate, and thus are produced from bone marrow, but contain large amounts of hemoglobin to transport oxygen throughout the body. 4. Sperm cells are haploid and contain a flagellum in order to swim through the vagina. 5. Plant cells have large amounts of the organelle chloroplast, which allows the cell to undergo photosynthesis. Plant cells are also covered by cell wall.
To summarize our lesson, prior to the invention of the very first microscope, everything that could not be seen by the naked eye was unexplainable. In 1665, Robert Hooke was able to observe in a piece of cork specimen structures which appear as tiny compartments similar to small rooms that are fitted to each other. Hooke coined the word cell to describe these chamber-like structures. Anton van Leeuwenhoek is another scientist who saw these cells soon after Hooke did. He named these living organisms animalcules. The cell theory is one of the basic principles of biology. Credit for developing cell theory is usually given to Matthias Sladen, who proposed that all plants are made up of cells, and Theodor Swan, who suggested all animals are made up of cells. Cell theory states that, number 1, all living organisms are composed of one or more cells. Number 2, the cell is the most basic unit of life. And number 3, all cells arise only from pre-existing cells. Organisms are composed of cells, and these cells have specific structures within them that allow them to carry out their functions. These structures are called organelles. Organelles perform different functions within a cell. Some of the parts or organelles are, number 1, plasma membrane or cell membrane. It separates cell from other cells. Number 2, cell wall. It protects and gives support to the cell. Number 3, cytoplasm. It holds the organelles in place. Number 4, mitochondria. This is the powerhouse of the cell. Number 5, endoplasmic reticulum. It produces proteins and lipids. Number 6, ribosomes. This is a site of protein synthesis. Number 7, Golgi bodies. It is the integral in the modification, sorting, and packaging of substances. Number 8, lysosomes. This is known as the digestive sacs. Number 9, vacuoles. This is the storage of cell sac. Number 10, nucleus. It is the brain of the cell. There are other subcellular organelles like centrioles, vesicles, chloroplasts or plastids, and others. This is the difference between prokaryotic cell and eukaryotic cells. Prokaryotic cell is composed of simpler parts, while eukaryotic cells have complex structures. Eukaryotic cells' chromosomes are enclosed inside the nucleus, while the prokaryote's DNA is found in the region called nucleoid that has no membrane. In prokaryotes, aside from not having a true nucleus, a semi-rigid cell wall is present, and membrane-bound organelles with specialized functions are absent. All prokaryotic organisms are unicellular, and all multicellular organisms, including humans, are eukaryotic. There are different types of cells in the human body based on tissue formation. These are, number 1, bone cells, 2, cartilage cells, 3, nerve cells, 4, epithelial cells, 5, muscle cells, 6, secretory cells, 7, adipose cells, and 8, blood cells. Other types of cells in human body based on their functions are conductive cells, connective cells, glandular cells, storage cells, and supportive cells. There are other special types of cells which perform important functions in our body. Number 1, sperms, 2, oocytes, 3, stem cells, 4, rods and cones, 5, ciliated cells, and 6, blood cells. Cell modifications. Cell in the human body number in trillions and comes in all shapes and sizes. These tiny structures are the basic unit of living organisms. There are hundreds of different types of cell in the body, and the structure of cell is perfectly suited for the role it performs. Regardless of the differences, cells of the body depend on one another, either directly or indirectly, to keep the body functioning as one unit. The following are examples of different types of cells in the body. Number 1, stem cells, 2, blood cells, 3, fat cells, 4, skin cells, 5, endothelial cells, 6, nerve cells, 7, sex cells, and 8, cancer cells.
Activity. A. Fill in the blanks with word or words that will make the element of cell theories correct. Refer to the box for choices. 1. All known living things are made up of one or more blank. 2. All living cells arise from pre-existing cells by blank. 3. The fundamental unit of structure and function in all living organisms is the blank. 4. The activity of an organism depends on the total activity of blank. 5. Energy blank, metabolism and biochemistry, occurs within cells. 6. Cells contain blank, which is found specifically in the chromosome and RNA found in the cell nucleus and cytoplasm. 7. All cells are basically the same in blank composition in organisms of similar species. 8. Information, DNA, is passed on from cell to cell through blank. 9. The basic chemical composition of all cells is the blank. B. Label the parts of the cell. C. Compare the animal and plant cell using the following parts/areas. D. Answer the following. 1. Which has more Golgi bodies, animal cell or plant cell? Why is there a difference in the number of these structures in each cell type? 2. Why do plant cells have bigger vacuoles than animal cells? 3. What will happen to the cell if the plasma membrane does not function properly? Activity. E. Under each type of cell, write or mark if the cell structure is present and X is absent. Activity. F. Identify the cell type being described. 1. They are the toughest body cells. They are bound together by calcium and phosphate. These cells are similar to bone cells, but the surrounding materials is just loose and flexible compared to those of bone cells. 2. They are human brain cells and are found in plenty in the brain and the spinal cord and form the nervous tissue. 3. These cells form covering layers of all the organs and hence are present in skin, scalp, respiratory tract, in the buccal cavity surface. 4. These cells are muscle tissue, mostly long, large and have ability to contract and relax, providing movements. 5. These are fat cells and are attached to long bones and assist in their movement by muscle contraction. 6. The muscle cells that are present only in heart muscle and are responsible for heartbeats. 7. The muscle cells that are attached to long bones and assist in their movement by muscle contraction. 8. These cells, as names indicate, are secretory in nature. 9. These are muscle cells that are flexible yet can contract and relax and are present in stomach, intestine, blood vessel walls and vascular tissue. 10. They are especially seen in the soles, palms, bums. They reduce friction to the body. These cells include RBCs, WBC, and thrombocytes, GRT if the statement is true and F if it is false. 1. Epithelial tissues are characterized by closely joined cells with tight junctions. 2. Cartilage tissues are bound together by calcium and phosphate. 3. Blood is mineralized connective tissue made by osteoblasts which deposit collagen. 4. Movement of muscles is a response to signals coming from nerve cells. 5. Adipose cells sense stimuli and transmit electrical signals throughout the animal body. Activity. H. Identify name of the following body cells.
I hope you learned a lot from our lesson for today. See you on our next biology class.